And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you've been waiting for this moment to arrive, and it has finally. We now have a speech by our chief guest, Shri RAJKUMAR RANJAN SINGH, the Honorable Union Minister of State, Ministry of Education and External Affairs, Government of India, and Advisory Board Member, NorthEast Green Summit. May I invite Shri RAJKUMAR RANJAN Singh on the microphone.
First of all, I congratulate the NorthEast Green Summit for the successful 7 years round. His Excellency Jimmy Namyan Ji, Consulate General Royal Bhutan, Consulate GOVT, and Shri Swaminathan Gurumurthy Ji, Shri C.P. Marak Ji, and Professor Gaurdas Sauduri Ji, and Shri Anuruddin Chau Ji, and P.W. Ringji, Secretary, Namgyal Institute of Technology, Gangtok, and congratulations to Shri Haya Garib Madhav Temple groups of people for the conservation of black soft shell turtles. Namaste, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure for me to be here today in Barapani. Just a few blocks from here is the Lake Uminam. I believe one of the oldest hydro project in Meghalaya. It is indeed heartening and pristine and pertinently symbolic that this venue, Northeastern Police Academy, has been chosen to host the 7th edition of NorthEast Green Summit. I am happy to participate and continue my association with this gathering. Perhaps Northeastern India is the most diversified region, though we use under the connotation of Northeastern. All of us might have well known that more than 250 ethnic communities are settled in this region, and our landscape is varied, and accordingly there are more than 250 local dialects as well as the indigenous knowledge system, and most diversified in the biological resources. Why? Because this is the confluencing zone of the three major streams of species. One is the Indo-Malaysian species, and the Tibetan species and Indian subcontinent species are migrated in this zone and form a confluence of different streams, and that's why it's one of the most highest biodiversity zone of the world. And of course, we were all proud a few decades ago. This region is the world's heaviest rainfall region. Now let us see what happened to the whole of Northeast, and particularly about the heaviest rainfall region of this Cherrapunji, Mausinaram of Meghalaya. There are reports saying that more than 1,020 square kilometers of forest coverage of the Northeastern India has been reduced. So this is an alarming situation. And of course we claim that Northeast India is having the most forest coverage and the most biodiversity region, but we are also at the cautious of this reducing the green zone. So in the meantime, with this backdrop of the northeastern region, I would like to recall the COP26 in Glasgow, what our Prime Ministers committed to the world, that is Panchamitra. He very fondly said about the Panchamitra, to arrest the repercussions and tragedies and side effects of the global climate change. The first Panchamitra, Prime Minister Honorable Modi says, India will reach its non-fossil energy capacity to 500 gigawatt by 2030. This is past promise given by our national Prime Minister to the world to arrest the climate change. Second, Panchamitra is that India will meet 50% of its energy requirement from renewable energy by 2030. Third, Panchamitra is that India will reduce the total projected carbon emission by 1 billion tons from now onward till 2030. The fourth is by 2030, India will reduce the carbon emission of its economy by less than 45%. And the last one, by the year 2070, India will achieve the target of net zero, and this Panchamitra will be observed by all of us, and particularly by the northeastern India, and more specifically, we are trying to focus in this Green Summit. Recently, Prime Minister in one of the meeting at Statue of Unity at Gujarat, along with the General Secretary of the United Nations, and also he focused many things that I will recall and I will share to this August gathering. Then, quality of our life, good or bad, truly depend on the quality of our natural environment. From the food that we eat and to the air that we breathe and to the water we drink depend on the environment around us. I firmly believe that a balanced natural cycle exists between the environment and the lives, and as well being human beings, plants and animals. If that balance is to be maintained for sustained equilibrium of life on our earth, our lifestyle matters. The way we consume and we produce has direct bearings. If this is true, that the current production and consumption strategy is not sustainable, then it is a must that we need to have a hard rethink on this collectively. A paradigm shift from mindless and destructive consumption to mindful and deliberate utilization is truly the need of the hours. Colleague, with this in mind, Honorable Prime Minister have launched Mission Life, just now I sketched in the canvas, with the underpinning motto, Lifestyle for Environment. Mission Life has a three-pronged strategy to change our collective approach towards sustainability. First, by encouragement of citizens to practice simple daily chores in an environment-friendly manner. These are small actions like switching off the light when not required or saving water during brushing and shaving. They are a small step, but it undertakes a mass movement. They are hugely effective. A part of mission life, 75 such lifestyle practices have been identified to promote sustainable climate-friendly behavior. These specific actions will ultimately lead to energy saving, water saving, reduced use of single-use plastic, sustainable food system, waste reduction, adopting healthy lifestyle, and better e-washing handling. The second strategy involved industries and market. This relates to formulation of strategies and giving them enough bandwidth to respond to market condition. This will enable our industry to respond swiftly to the changing demand and supply. Third strategy is to influence government and industrial policy to support both sustainable consumption and production policy. Friend, mission life as a concept was introduced by Honorable Prime Minister in the COP26 in Glasgow in November 2021. It was launched recently at Kavadia by the Honorable Prime Minister in the presence of the United Nations General Secretary. It is envisaged as an India-led global mass movement that will nudge individuals and collective action towards the protection and preservation of environment. It aims to make at least 80% of all villages and urban local bodies in India environmentally friendly by 2028. It is ambitious. Yes, it is. Is it doable? Yes, we can. But we need support to transform this and make it into a true mass movement. Mission Life ultimately aims to substitute the current consumption pattern of use and throw, to reduce, reuse, and recycle, thereby introducing the concept of a true circular economy through people's participation. It envisages leveraging the cumulative power of the people for the protection of this earth. This very concept has democratized our struggle against climate change, in which everyone can contribute within their capacity. It functions on the basic principles of lifestyle of the planet, for the planet and by the planet. Friends, guidance for environmental protection was already available to us since long in the form of Gandhiji's concept of trusteeship. He understood long before everyone and long before the concept of the need to care for our environment becomes the urgent and blink red. Living in harmony with nature is embedded in the concept of mission life. It makes us all trustee of the environment, and trustee don't allow indiscriminate overuse of limited resources. Worshipping nature is abundant in Indian tradition. We worship the five elements. In Northeast, we find nature worship in every corner and every landscape. Meghalaya itself has the practice of sacred forests. Nature care is ingrained in us. So, if this is the case, then we somehow must have lost touch with our inner self. It is time we learn and rectify those mistakes. It is time that we internalize of concept of reduce, reuse and recycle as propounded by the Honorable Prime Minister through Mission Life. Friends, please allow me to brief a brief moment to touch on our initiative within BIMSTEC in area of green and sustainable development. The last BIMSTEC summit held in Colombo in March 2022 dealt on key issues of food security, peace, and prosperity in the region. We expressed and reiterated our commitment to promote agricultural productivity, food security and nutrition, sustainability, research and development, and enhance cooperation with BIMSTEC in the areas of agribusiness, climate change management, and mitigations. We are working on these key areas through mechanisms like Working Group on Agriculture, Disaster Management Exercise, Center for Weather and Climate, and the Action Plan for Strengthening BIMSTEC agricultural cooperations. We are sharing our expertise and techniques and helping our neighboring in capacity building in mitigations. As part of Neighborhood Fast and Act East policies and our Sagar doctrine, we are committed and working with our friends in the field of environment and climate change, both in sphere of mitigations and adaptations. Friends, let me conclude here, but do take this way. In the fight to conserve our environment and against climate change, we have done our bit. We firmly believe in common but differentiated responsibilities. We have committed to net zero emission by 2070 and increase our nationally demand contribution last August, responding to the goal of increased ambition for our 2030 target from our partners. We have a long-term, low-emission growth strategy in place now. Under the Prime Minister's leadership, we have initiated far-reaching new initiative in renewable energy, e-mobility, ethanol blended fuels, and green hydrogen as an alternative energy source. We have today established international organizations like International Solar Alliance and coalitions of disaster resilience infrastructure, two excellent international platforms to fight climate change. They are both created and are being nurtured by India. Our climate action have today made us an integral part of solution to climate challenge. We are no longer seen as a part of the problems. We are 1.3 billion people. Our cumulative emission is less than 4% of the world total, and our annual per capita emissions are about 1/3 of the global average. Still, we met this humongous effort to fight climate change and protect our environment. This is what changed the world perception about India for better. Thank you for your patient hearing. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, Shri RAJKUMAR RANJAN SINGh, Honorable Union Minister of State, Ministry of Education and External Affairs, Government of India, and the Advisory Board member, NorthEast.